Right, the zebra grass has died, gone brown, but still looks pretty with the seed heads dancing in the wind. But today's video is going to be on the Parajubaea. So what we're looking at is the palm I brought, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. The situation is I want to get a heat cable to wrap around the roots. You know, freshly planted in winter is not ideal. We don't want the ground too cold. I like to get the roots settled in, so I'm just sort of thinking that a little bit of extra heat around the roots might just settle it in a bit easier over the winter period. So the situation is, to cut a long story short, I ordered a heat cable from Amazon. That weren't prime, so I knew it was going to be a 3 or 4 day wait, but it's actually turned out to be a week. And me being the idiot I am, I didn't test it first, so I set it all up. Got buried about 1 inch under the ground, wrapped it around, you know, spent about an hour getting it all nice, and it didn't work. It was a faulty heat cable, never heated up. Luckily it weren't on the frosty nights. I still had the little tube heater on, so I didn't get too cold in there. But so I ordered another one, another heat cable from eBay. That turned up in about 3 days, so we've set that up. So we'll have a look at that and what I hope to achieve by using the heat cable. So this is a 6-meter heat cable. So it's this green wire here, 6 meters, 50 watts. So 50 watts, roughly an hour. It's about a penny an hour, even with expensive electric the way it is nowadays. So if we say, you know, 24p a day, you know, even if it, worst case scenario, say £2 a week, you know, for a few months, for the sake of 15 quid in electric, you could save your plant. So I'm not concerned about energy consumption. I am concerned about buying expensive palm and it dying over winter. So that's my theory on that one. Anyway, so this one works. I tested it first. So 6 meters, so we've got roughly 4 meters. We've got 2 coils around the trunk with 3 inches apart on the coils, just buried about 1 inch in the ground. So it's just keeping that soil surface a little bit warmer, and to help with the insulation, obviously I had some old foam panels, so I've just tied them around that just to keep the heat in around the root area and keep it a little bit drier as well. I don't want them sitting too wet over the winter. So you can see what I've done here. I've just tied some of these panels around the bottom 3 foot of the trunk. We've still got the fleece over it, and the fleece is open on mild days, dry days. When it's wet, mild, I'll still leave it open, but if it's wet and cold, I keep it closed. So the danger of that is obviously no airflow. Could get rot in the growing, you know, in the crown, in a growing point. So for that reason, with the 6 meters, like I say, 4 meters coiled around the trunk, we've got 2 meters, so we've got a bit coming up the trunk here. So this heat cable is not heating the trunk, I know that. I mean, if I wanted to, I could wrap that with fleece around the trunk to keep a little bit of warmth on the trunk, but that's thick enough trunk not to worry about the cold on that. It's a growing point. So what I have done is got the heat cable curled round a couple of times, just in the top, just to keep the frost and dry any damp out really. So and that is actually quite nice and warm to the touch. So it's not hot enough to burn the leaves or anything like that. It's not like you see the guys in North America and Canada where they put the the string lights on, the C9 lights, and you know, if it's touching the fronds it could burn. So this is just a gentle heat, and this, you're not going to burn the fronds with this. And that's coiled around a few times in the top, just at the growing point, so we don't get any rot issues, you know, any damp, and just to keep that growing point from freezing. So since we put the heat cable in, and we haven't had any particularly cold nights. I think the coldest has probably been about, well, according to that, I don't know if it's showing up on camera, they're saying 3.4. So I think we did get down to about 2, so it might be keeping it, you know, a degree fraction over sort of ambient temperature. So it is a little bit of insulation, and just that really gentle heating the soil level and sort of rising up. So it's, I think it's helping, like I say, by a degree, so it's, you know, better than nothing. And the main point is the roots are a little bit warmer, and the crown itself shouldn't get damp and rot out. So yeah, with the -3 we had the other week, as we can see, there's no damage to the fronds on these whatsoever. They are silver on the back anyway, and the front is a nice dark green. So this is in case you haven't seen any of the other videos, this is the Parajubaea Trellii, or mountain coconut. I think in the spring I'll do a full video on this when it's uncovered, and go through why I watered this palm and why I think it's going to be I won't say a hardy palm for this area, but you know, it's going to need protection, but that's going to be a nice specimen to have. Yeah, so heat cable set up, insulated around the root area, because I haven't actually backfilled this whole raised planted area, so the root and soil area that was in the pot originally is, you know, I've put a little bit of sort of compost on top of that just to insulate it, but I haven't sort of buried it fully, so it's still effectively a potted specimen, if you like. So this is why I've insulated it around and gone for the heat cable, to give it every chance to get it through the winter. And, you know, fingers crossed we don't have any really cold situations like we had last winter. So all in all, at the moment it's looking good. The structure's holding up. So again, I used some metal poles I had from the polytunnel, and the old polytunnel I don't use anymore. And the only downside to it is, which I didn't, well, I thought about at the time but didn't think that's going to be an issue, is obviously the top of the poles has ripped through the, I don't know if we can see it, there we are, there's a pole that's ripped through the fleece bag there. So I'll get a tennis ball or something and put over the ends of the ends of the metal poles there, so it doesn't rip through totally. So I don't really want the bag sitting on the fronds themselves. I want a bit of air in between, because that can sort of rot off the ends and damage the tips, and we want to keep the foliage looking good. That's the whole point of having the fleece bag on it. Yeah, so that's what's going on at the moment with that palm. I am surprised. I mean, we haven't really had any sunny days, but when you get a mild day, you get a little bit of sun. I know this is probably hitting the sun full on in the afternoon, but it's actually reading 30 degrees as a high. Currently it is 12.4, so it is a mild day, albeit sort of a bit overcast, and we've got some mild nights ahead, and then get a bit colder sort of midweek next week. But regardless of that, that does, you know, does warm up if I zip this fleece bag shut on a sunny day. That would get quite warm in there. So if you can imagine a tent on a sunny day, you know, if you go in there, and that does, even though it's only a sort of a thin material, it does capture the heat and warm up. So again, we don't want extremes. You don't want, you know, cold nights and really hot days, because, you know, bouncing backs and forwards is not good for the palm either. So it's just that balancing act of unzipping and zipping up as and when needed, just to regulate the temperature and keep it protected. Right, so we'll leave it there. Like, subscribe, the usual stuff. We'll keep you updated on the Parajubaea as and when I feel there's anything to update. I mean, at the moment it's winter, so it's not going to do much. It's not really going to grow. But yeah, we'll see. Keep an eye on the foliage and see if we get any damage on the cold nights. But again, the main thing is, you know, if a little bit of damage on the fronds is not an issue, but I would like to keep the fronds looking nice, because there's not many fronds on it, to be fair. We've got two big fronds and 3 or 4 small ones sort of coming out, so we want to keep the foliage looking as good as we can. So that is what the plan is there. Right, let's leave it there. Thanks for watching.